I don't know why I'm recording this. Maybe because once I say it out loud, it will feel less real. Or maybe because if you're listening to this, you'll know what waits beneath the city. It started with a sound. Not the kind of noise you notice in passing, like pipes clanging or rats in the walls. No, this was deeper, wetter, like something chewing slowly, rhythmically, just under my feet. I live in an old neighborhood, the kind where the sewer grates are wide enough to swallow a small dog. At night, when everything else goes quiet, the chewing seems louder, like it's echoing through the tunnels. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the mother of teeth. She said that if you lost a tooth, you shouldn't hide it under a pillow for money. You should drop it into the drain, let the mother take it. In return, she might grant you protection, luck, or strength. But if you offered her nothing, sometimes she came to collect. I never believed her, of course. Childhood folklore meant to scare kids into brushing their teeth. But then, last winter, I started noticing things. On my street, the kids would whisper about feeding the sewer. I thought it was just a game until I actually saw one of them, this little boy, no more than 6, drop a tiny white tooth into the grate and whisper something I couldn't quite hear. He looked relieved afterward, like a weight had lifted off his chest. That night, lying in bed, I heard it again, that chewing. Only this time, it wasn't distant, it was right below my room. I pressed my ear to the floor, and I swear to you, I could hear teeth grinding against bone. My skin crawled. I wanted to convince myself it was a rat or a raccoon or anything normal, but there was something about the rhythm, too deliberate, too human. A week later, I lost a filling. A chunk of my molars snapped off while eating, and I sat there in my kitchen with a shard of tooth in my hand, and I remembered the stories. I remembered that boy. And against all logic, all reason, I walked outside, lifted the heavy grate, and dropped my broken tooth into the darkness. The sound it made when it landed wasn't what I expected. It wasn't the clink of enamel against metal. It was softer, as if something caught it midair. And then, silence. No chewing, no echo. Just stillness so thick, it made the night heavier around me. For a moment, I thought it was over, that maybe I had honored some old superstition and that was the end of it. But then I heard it. A voice. Low, rasping, wet, from the black tunnel beneath me. More. I slammed the grate shut and ran back inside, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just answered something ancient, something hungry. For days after that night, I tried to convince myself I imagined the voice. Lack of sleep, too much stress, the power of suggestion. But the silence under my floor was worse than the chewing. It was the kind of silence that feels like it's waiting for you to breathe wrong. And then the dreams started. I would wake up drenched in sweat, tasting blood in my mouth, with a vivid memory of pulling my own teeth out, one by one, and dropping them into a pit that never filled. Sometimes I woke with my jaw aching, my gums sore, as if I had really been grinding them into dust. A neighbor of mine, Mr. Alvarez, an older man who always walked with a limp, vanished around that time. His daughter told me he had gone missing after a night walk. The police found nothing, but I overheard the kids whispering again. He didn't give her enough. That phrase sank into me like a hook. Her, the mother of teeth. I started watching the drains more closely. At dusk, I saw shadows move inside them, shifting just out of sight. Once, I swear I saw fingers, long, pale fingers, curling against the bars, only to retreat when headlights swept past. The chewing came back too, louder this time. It followed me. When I walked home at night, I could hear it from the sewer grates, gnawing and crunching, as if it recognized me, tracked me. I began avoiding cracks in the sidewalk, stepping around storm drains like a child afraid of falling in. But the sound, it always found me. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I crouched by the grate outside my building, my phone flashlight trembling in my hand, and I looked down. The tunnel yawned below, slick with something dark. At first, I saw nothing, just brick walls, dripping water. And then, 2 points of light, golden, burning eyes staring up at me. I froze. My body screamed to run, but my knees locked. The eyes blinked slowly, deliberately, and then a shape began to emerge from the black. A face. No, a skull stretched with rotting skin, gums swollen and slick, filled with jagged teeth. She smiled at me. Her voice came again, rasping, chewing the words as if they were meat. You fed me once, you will feed me again. I stumbled backward, dropping my phone. The light rolled across the pavement, catching a glimpse of her arm as it rose through the bars. Thin, elongated, covered in muck, her nails like sharpened bones. She reached for me, clawing at the air, but stopped short, as if the grate itself held her back. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the floorboards, listening for her. I thought maybe, if I ignored her, she would go away. But when I went into the bathroom the next morning, I found something waiting for me. In the sink, scattered across the porcelain, were teeth. Small ones, children's teeth, still streaked with blood. And in the mirror, written in something brown and sticky, one word smeared across the glass: more. I should have left the city, packed a bag, vanished, and never looked back. But fear doesn't always make you run. Sometimes it roots you in place, like prey pretending to be invisible while the predator circles closer. The teeth kept appearing. Every morning, without fail, I would find more of them. On the floor beside my bed, lined up in neat rows on the kitchen table, even inside my shoes. Some were tiny and clean, others cracked and yellowed with age. They weren't mine. They couldn't be mine. But I could feel the message in their presence. I was being prepared, conditioned. The chewing never stopped now. Day or night, I could hear it echoing in the pipes, vibrating in the walls, like the whole building had become her mouth. The neighbors didn't seem to notice, or maybe they were too afraid to admit they did. When I asked Mrs. Ortega, the old woman upstairs, if she'd heard the noise, she just gave me this hollow look and said, "Better to give her what she wants. Better than her coming for you." That night, I sat in the dark with the broken piece of mirror still smeared with that word. More. I knew she wouldn't stop until I obeyed. And for the first time in my life, I considered what it would mean to give her what she wanted. Not just a fragment of enamel, not just a broken tooth. Something larger. The thought festered in me, twisting my stomach until I couldn't think of anything else. It was almost a relief when I saw the stray cat behind the dumpster near my apartment. I don't remember the act itself, just the sound of its body hitting the bottom of the drain, the way the darkness seemed to swallow its cry before it was fully out of my hands. And then, silence. No chewing, no voice, nothing. For 2 days, I thought maybe it had worked. Maybe I was free. But freedom was never part of the bargain. On the third night, I woke to the sound of water dripping. I followed it, bare feet slapping against the cold tile of the bathroom floor. And when I opened the door, she was there. Crawling out of the tub, her slick body bending and cracking, bones jutting under gray flesh. Her eyes caught the dim light and glowed like molten gold. She smiled again, wide and jagged, her mouth lined with endless rows of teeth, some of them fresh, some rotting, all of them moving as if chewing on something unseen. Her breath stank of damp earth and marrow. She reached for me, and this time there was no grate, no barrier, nothing to keep her out. I tried to scream, but her hand closed around my jaw. Her nails dug into my cheeks, forcing my mouth open. She leaned close, so close I felt her lips brush against my ear, and she whispered one word that I'll never forget: yours. And then, pain. Blinding, searing pain as she began to pull. My teeth, one by one, ripping from the roots, blood filling my throat. I blacked out. When I woke, I was lying on the bathroom floor. The mirror was shattered, the sink filled with blood, and my reflection, my smile, was a jagged mess of gaps and crimson. The chewing hasn't stopped since. I hear it now, all around me, inside me. And sometimes when I run my tongue over my gums, I feel something sharp pushing through. Not mine, not human. I think she's still feeding, through me.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.